For a while now, I have been using a certain thingy. Let's go to tree, and I have like a lot of changes, git changes here. Therefore, they're displayed like this. And this is my program called octussy git status. And the git status part of it is because octussy was initially intended to be like a whole shell prompt implemented in Rust. But I kind of don't care about the idea anymore. Like, it's fine that it's in fish, it's plenty fast, it's super okay. So what I want to do now is take octussy git status and put it into octussy, and it's just going to be called that. And the way that you have to use octussy git status right now is super annoying, and for the usual user, kinda not worth it, you know? So I want to move the logic that's currently on the fish side. If we go to prompt, this is how you call octussy git status currently. Basically, you have to provide all the data to it. It's on you, the user, which is unnecessary. It just takes more effort to not. And today we're going to put in that effort to not. So let's go to octussy and go to octussy git status. Let's go up. Do I? Yeah, I do have octussy here. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so let's open it in VS Code. And currently, what's in this is just some testing that I started with, making my shell prompt in. So let's open another tab with octussy status and also open it in VS Code, but move it to here so that we can easily come and just steal code. Okay, so first thing that I want to do probably is just literally like copy everything here. Yeah, copy everything to octussy with the -f flag. Hold up, for real? Right, I fucking forgot chat. How could I? How could I? I'm looking at it and I'm like, something is wrong here. Yeah, like, of course. As always, I love it that chat now resizes correctly. It's like brilliant. Let me do it like for every window. And the reason why I don't do it before stream is because I think I can't. I like specifically have to do this whole thing after I actually started streaming. And for VS Code windows, probably makes more sense to put chat here. Okay, cool. So let's go here, and this is octussy. Now everything here has been changed to basically just be the octussy git status project. We moved everything here, and now if we run octussy, we'll just like get what we would get from octussy git status. More easily explained, we don't really need octussy git status as a project anymore. So let's look at the changes. Okay, let's just stage everything. Move octussy git status. Oh, and by the way, it's called octussy exactly because of what you think it is. Because it's like, fuck, I closed chat accidentally. So fish has this ocean type of theme to it. I wanted to keep it similar to that. So I used the cloner to look for random words, and octussy popped up. Not immediately though. I saw the word octopus. I'm like, yeah, that checks out. But then, even better, I was like, okay, I'm gonna make it sound super goofy. So I'm like, okay, fucking octussy, lama. And that's what it's called now. Let me make that a bit smaller so it doesn't like protrude. A bit smaller still. Even smaller. Nice, 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 nice. Boom. Cool. Now it obviously doesn't show everything in terms of the title, but seeing the title for me is just a way to differentiate the windows even more easily, rather than specifically having all the information. Plus, the information I actually need is usually on either side regardless. Since I added like a bunch of shit to my toolbar. So we have notifications, because turns out the notifications from your phone also go here, which is actually very convenient then to be able to check them out like this. Then screen keys running, OBS Studio, which now with my new icon theme actually shows that I'm recording. Well, streaming. I am streaming, right? Yeah, I'm streaming. Then nightlight, battery, because turns out if you scroll, you can change how dim or bright your screen is. I did not know that, because I'm constantly charging my laptop. Yeah, so a bunch of shit here that I actually want to keep, regardless of how ridiculously much it is. Let me open the window a bit. Fucking mosquitoes and stuff like that is a bit less common, so I can afford to open my window in the evening a bit more. Alright then. So, first things first, we will still keep, like in our cargo toml, we have clap, and my immediate thought is, oh, we don't need it anymore, we don't need to provide the things to it. Also, why is there a screen tearing now? What am I, on Wayland? Can you see this? You maybe can't, but on the rightest side, it has like a slight small line and it annoys me. Nowhere else, except, whatever, doesn't matter. We don't need clap anymore because we don't provide all the values ourselves, but what I'm going to add is, hold up, let me cook, is an ability to pick your colors. You'll be able to provide the colors for every single thing. I'll probably start with just giving you the option for the 3 different colors. And maybe we'll implement an ability to provide colors for each individual thing. And considering that octussy is always going to be run like from your script, from your setup, rather than interactively, we might as well. First of all, let's rename this to octussy and do this entire thing. Octussy. Boom. A simple executable get status for your shell prompt. Now, to be fair, compared to what straight up shell prompts give you in terms of get status, it may be a bit limited. Like, it won't show you if you have a merge thing going on or other weird stuff like that. Just literally the get status and how many commits you have unpushed. But also I want to figure out, let's actually create a readme. Yes, this, and open this readme, put it here and pin it. Why is everything so slow? Let's B-top. Really, still not enough? What about like processor, memory? What's up with that? For some reason, I'm using a lot of memory compared to what I usually do. Maybe because I just rendered a video and now swap is taken in, I'm guessing. Well, whatever. I think it's not going to be that huge of an issue. Okay. Aside from the README, I usually also have a file called project. Yep. And that is just a local file that contains my thoughts about what I want to implement. And the reason it's not like in the README or somewhere else, like maybe issues, is because while I am working on it, I'm just quickly popping up with ideas, and I want an ability to quickly write them down without having to think through them too quickly, because by the time I do that, I might forget another thing, which I don't want to do. So just a simple local file, and then if I decide that, okay, this feature is more big, I can take the time to explain it properly, then like sure, I'll create an issue or something. So first thing is figure out how to show unpolled commits. Simple executable get status for your shell prompt. Okay, great. First of all, let's go to args and change like everything. So long about is none, that's actually not required, and this is not good, I think. Version about, or other author about version is all you really need for like a setup. Now let's go to a file that I don't even remember what it is. I think in stats we define everything, and we do. What do we have here? Unpushed, unstaged, added, staged, modified, renamed, deleted, staged, deleted. Let's just open it to the side and go to args, change inside indent. So basically I'm going to start with giving arguments to all of the colors that you can set. Before we do that, let's combine again and see. We have colorize stats. What is a stat supposed to be, so that we can figure out what we even need to provide to it. So colors, that's my personal thing. Okay, we're getting closer. So we need color. We need to provide color. Okay, I think the coloring type of thing is for the future. It's not like a singular thing, because what I think is going to be the case is you provide a string, which is a value enum, basically comparing multiple different default words, like color is red, for example, and then you can also define the colors via hex. So the thing that I'm going to do first is implement all the logic, but with my own colors, because, well, I like them a lot and I use them. But obviously, using colors outside of the 16 default ones is just a silly idea for a project. So it's going to default to some default colors that you can also then change. So that's the idea. Let's also write that in. User, so colors default to 16. User can override with 16 or hex. I'm pretty sure I can easily understand that in the future. Okay, so what now? Stats from args. Now, not from args, actually. So let's delete that. From args, so that is not even true. There's a lot of stuff to change here. Okay, yeah, sure, let's not rush and slowly but surely change everything. I'm so used to using Control-U and Control-D to go 6 lines up or down. I changed them to 5, and I keep noticing where 6 is rather than where 5 is, and always be like Control-UK and stuff. Muscle memory is crazy. Okay, so from saying from get status is just incorrect because it's not only get status. So what's going to be happening in this function from now on is that it will run a bunch of shit. It will run a bunch of shell commands to figure out the data that it needs. So stats compute, I guess. Compute, which is an interesting name for sure, but I think it's fine. And instead of it being option, it's going to be an error, but we'll get to that once we do, like once we need to. Okay, so we create new stats if that will just comment out so that we still remember the idea of what's happening here. If all the stats are 0, we'll return an error with nothing. No, we'll return. Fuck. Hold up, what's happening here? So if stats are there, colorized stats, and how do we colorize stats? Add if positive, and then we print them. But if they're not positive, okay, so we don't actually need to specifically return none. It's an optimization that, like, by all accounts, doesn't matter. However, okay, let's change this to compute. I just need this to quote-unquote compile, even though it's not really that. So parse status is probably like not perfect, I'm imagining. But let's see if that's the case. So we first check out the staged part. Important to realize that it probably will need to provide the get status correctly like we do in Gaff, but the stage modifications, additions, deletions, and renames are all handled correctly. And then if it's a question mark, it's fine. And the other two things, okay, so it actually is handled correctly in terms of the parser. And since we don't need file paths like we do in Gaff, it's way simpler. So here in parse status, basically we need the input of get status. Do we call this in main? We do not, as we shouldn't. And we have colors, which we should rename to default colors. I have decided on what colors I want to use, so I don't think I need these. To make sure, let's stage this specifically. And that's the only thing that we change. And let's commit remove extra colors so that we can check out into that to get back the colors if we do need them, because you never know. And where is it defined? In colorizer. Let's change colors to default colors. It also changes the file, which is great, I think. It's so convenient. I'm not sure if C# does it or not, but if I remember correctly, no, it doesn't. You have to do a bit more extra work there. So when I noticed Rust actually renaming the file as well, I got flabbergasted. Not gonna lie, this fucking line is annoying me immensely. It gives me flashbacks to using Debian. So let's put it like this, so that I'm not annoyed. For now, I imagine a reboot will save it somehow. Often things like that do indeed work, surprisingly. Okay, so let's stage just GMM, rename colors module. And there's no this. So what we'll need to do is create the module that's going to be probably the biggest. Module called get. Let's create module and go to it, which is now a file. Boom. It doesn't need to be public because I don't know how to properly make a public API and whether it's going to be useful even. Unsure. I would need someone who already knows how to properly do it to introduce me to it, or eventually I'll just reach that point by reading the book. Okay, so first two things that we need to do is open Gaff and steal some code from it. I love development because you do some stuff, you implement some functionality, and then boom, you can literally just steal it for yourself. It's so convenient. Boom, implemented. Now there's always some things basically saying one of these items, I need std process command. Oh, it imported both. Interesting. But that's the only error. But of course, let's confirm that the decisions here and there that I made for these two functions actually still make sense for this project. Let's start with get root directory. So the reason why we even need this and get root directory actually means get repo. It should be also renamed here, honestly, but maybe later, because it's kind of incorrect. You'll probably think when you see get root directory, you'll think about this, probably. When in reality, get repo gets the actual get directory. So currently we're in Gaff, right? If we go to source, get repo would get the full path to Gaff. And the reason why we need this is so that when we run git status, oh, it's actually empty. Let's try to get a better example. Really? Because it's is it a root directory? It's more like a git repo. I could see like either way being correct, but I'm unsure. Root does not need to mean system root. Yeah, I agree, but it was my first thought, and it's not as clear that you mean a git repo. Get root directory is kinda... and repo doesn't sound like it would return a path. That's fair. Well, what I don't like about get root directory is that it's unclear that it will be like a git directory, basically. Like the parent one, the git directory. It's just some root directory, whatever that means. And then you have to read the code to understand the context, to understand that, oh, the git directory, I see. And that is only if you understand what the fuck ref parse show top level is. Now, you maybe do, but it requires extra knowledge. Get repo root. Yeah, that's probably the best. I agree. Yeah, this is probably the best. So, first of all, we run git ref parse show top level, which will give us the repo root. If it can't run the command, that means that git isn't even in your path. Cool. So we got the output. Is it a success? Oh, is it not a success? Did it error out? Here you go. Have the error that it provided us. If it can't somehow turn the error message into a string, holy shit, why? Here you go, an error message. Boom, 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 we got the error message. Then we understood that, yes, indeed, it's a success. Let's get the root directory and return it. So everything here is fine, is how we get the repo root. And right, so we got to tree, and let's go to emojis. So if we run git status, we fuck. Okay, I don't. My internet is bad, and I'm watching this at 144p now. Damn. That's crazy. God damn. Maybe I should like do this for you. Maybe it's gonna be better that way. Could be an issue on my part, who knows? Let me guess, 0. Yep. Wow. Okay, I don't have a good example, but basically when you run git status -s, if the change is in some other directory, so not in emojis, but for example, in 3 documents or whatever, it would use this. But if, well, use this to show that the upper path and then the other path that it means. But if we run git status porcelain, which you apparently can press tab on to complete, I didn't trust it because often this auto-completion is not there, so I just don't even try them, but I definitely should. Porcelain would show us the full path, like from the repo. Hold up, scratch that. Well, you already see the difference. Basically here, it shows us the paths starting from tree rather than from the current directory. So this is a core difference. And the reason why we should be using git status porcelain is because the user can change how git status -s displays, but they cannot change how porcelain displays. And that was like a whole entire thing in Gaff, where I learned that we should be using porcelain. But to use porcelain, we actually need to call git status porcelain from the repo root, so it's consistent. And that's why we get it. Okay, so then we actually get the git status porcelain. So the same idea. If we can't run it, git is not there. Here you go, an error. Then we get git status. We trim it from the end only. That's important for the parser to work correctly. Right, and if git status is empty, we just say that nothing here, whatever. Okay, yeah, so nothing really needed to be changed here. Let's stage this and this. And we don't need Gaff anymore, I don't think, or we'll just open it once we do. Add get repo root and status. Okay, so these two functions immediately, yeah, they literally solve basically this function, and we're gonna get to it. However, let's now work on looking at how it even works for me. It's probably going to be easier to figure out what I even want to do by looking what I'm currently doing. So for the git status porcelain, all I do is just provide that, and that's literally it. So here I don't have to really worry about it. And yeah, string collect, but that's just a fish thing. But for unpushed, now this is a bit more annoying. We have GSP here, which is in Gitty, and GSP does a bunch of things. Now, I have to like mention that I don't think I'm good enough at Git where I can make an absolutely general tool. So I make a lot of assumptions here, which I would love to constructively like negate, or I guess point out. So we get the remote, we get the branch, and if we got both of them, we then git log one line blah 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 to get all the commits that we haven't yet pushed. So basically here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's how we get this number. We just count these lines, how many there are of them. However, this is a very, I guess, controversial command to run, because if you have multiple remotes, maybe the first one is not what we actually want. And then branch may not work if like you haven't made any commits yet, and so on and so forth. So a lot of failure points, which I'm not like 100% sure how to solve, but I guess with experience. Same thing happened with Gaff, where I got to learn a bunch of stuff. And here is probably going to be the same. Okay. Oh, and also, since this thing is supposed to be in your... let me cook. In your prompt, it would be very annoying for it to write error messages right here. Like, if there's an error, it would like start here, and that's just super annoying. So by default, it will be silent in error messages, but if you provide -v for verbose, it will actually print the error message for you to just run the binary yourself in the directory that's giving you issues. There's an argument to be made that actually it should be on the user to silence their errors, or that you should be using -q to make them quiet, but I disagree. By all accounts, you do not want error messages by default. It should just be a situation where you're in a directory that has a git status and has things to display, and you're like, what the fuck, why do I not see them here? Rather than be annoyed with the error message here, you know? And then you octussy verbose to figure that out. So that's my design decision for this. Okay, so now we can get git status, and that is literally all we need. But then let's start with getting the remote. All we need to get from it is the output. If there's an error, if there's an error, basically we should do nothing. Yep. If there's an error, we should do nothing. If there is not an error, then we just get the output of the command, convert it into the lines iterator, and get the first one. Once again, the fact that we're getting the first one, that is like an assumption that the first one is going to be the remote to which you're comparing to, which I heard from you, Misha, might not be the case, in which case I'm fucking sorry. I don't know what to do with that. I'm not gonna read the user's mind to figure out which remote is the correct one, and they for sure aren't going to specify it, because how could they generally specify it in their prompt if it can be different depending on the directory? So yeah, an assumption for now at least. Maybe there's like a smart solution to this, or at least a bad one, like a configuration file. Basically, if you're in this path, the remote is this, but that's also kind of clunky. Whatever. So first of all, let's do it the dumb way. Let's just copy everything and paste it and then change. So instead of status, it's remote. By all accounts, it should be get remote, but I don't think it matters particularly. And then we'll return a string because we just get the remote as the string, so that we can combine it with git log one line and so on and so forth. Unless there... Okay. Interesting. It shows the current, like... Oh no, that's OBS. Okay. I thought it was like the notification. Is it fine? I think so. Yeah, it seems to be. Damn, what the fuck? I should have like rebooted before streaming. I do that sometimes, so like make sure the system is top tier. Super unnecessary for you being real here, but yeah. So we do get remote, and I think that's it. Just literally get remote. Remote. I don't usually use this, like, I don't use fonts this big usually. I think I used to. Not to this extent, but a pretty big font. So it's like trippy to have it this big. It's kind of cute, I like it. So the same idea, and there's a lot of like boilerplate that I'm using here and these functions, which is fine, because the benefit of this is that you can just read exactly what is happening here, and it's all like self-contained. Because in Rust, at least for me, could be a skill issue, bringing out something like this, for example, or this, is just so annoying that it's kind of not worth it. So we run get remote. If not success, we return the error. This is not get status, this is remote. We get the std out. Output status, okay. Get remote, std error, yep. And we delete this. And this is also not a thing. What happens? Let's go to testicles, which does not have a remote. Let's run get remote. It doesn't fail, it just gives us nothing. So actually, same thing here. If it's empty, this repository doesn't have a remote. Let's remove this else for now. So if it's empty, we also return this error. So it seems to be fine again. Okay, good. I love that with the new icon theme that I installed, OBS Studio actually says rec when it's recording. Another thing is that, god damn, do I have a lot of icons here. But like, all of them are useful in different ways. Through notifications, I can easily see even my phone notifications, thanks to like KDE Connect. But maybe KDE Connect now I don't need to have here, because I mostly just need notifications, and I could like get it from here. Let's remove it. No, not this. Oh no, I'm like showing what phone I use. You know? Scary. Let's hide it. Because KDE Connect is super good at connecting. Even if I like go outside of my phone and come back, it just silently automatically connects back, no issues, which is great. Anything else? Not what? Did you see that? Anything else that I don't particularly need? To be fair, I don't often change my brightness. Can I? If I can like scroll on this, it would be big. Let's try to, wait, no, also not this. Let's try to configure and put battery and brightness when relevant, because it's relevant currently. Okay, let's make it hidden for now to test. Can I like just oh, I can. Oh, that's actually pretty huge. Okay, I don't often change my monitor brightness, but I have the ability to do this. Okay, that's good. This I super often use, as well as this. All this really does is just permanently say that night color is active, so I don't particularly need it to say that just permanently. It never really changes. So let's hide it. Notifications. This is just now my way of looking at my phone's notifications, so I do want to keep them. Like if I get an SMS, I need to make sure that my 2FA is not secure, so that's the way to do it. To do it all from one device, essentially. Okay. Reason why we removed the else is that if the remote is not empty, there's still some things that we need to do on it to return the correct one. And that is, remote is a function. Oh yeah, it is. But no, I meant the variable. We do lines because it's a string. If it's just a single line, it's fine, but if it's multiple, we can still get the first one. Nth. Or I guess next works too. If it's not empty, it's at least a single line. So we can just expect, and let's explain why this is safe. Expect if remote isn't empty, it should be at least one line. Basically explaining to other devs why this panic is safe. I don't think there's any reason to throw an error specifically, because by all accounts this shouldn't ever happen. And this is a very bad mindset, I do understand, when coming to software, because it will happen by some magic, but it's not really... It's fine to panic here, because if this happens, something entirely wrong like it's happening here, rather than the usual errors that may happen for reasonable reasons, where we should just throw up. So we get essentially the first line. If we can't, that's super weird. Let remote is this, and okay remote. And to owned. Okay. And we got the first remote. That is exactly what we need to do. Okay, that's pretty easy. Let's stage this, and nope, not here. Add get remote. Cool. The next thing that we need to do is get branch show current. I think I'm going to continue naming these functions in a very simple way, because like, why not? Public function branch. I forgot to run get status from the correct directory, which is strange. Because if I don't do this in Gaff, it should not work. So we get root directory. Wait, what? By all accounts, it shouldn't be working then. That's super strange. Yeah, what? That's crazy. Yeah, before output, it should be current directory is get repo root. Now, to be fair, we could do something along the lines of getting it once and then passing it to all the functions that need it. And to be fair, yeah, it's easier to debug if needed. Okay. Repo root. Repo root is a string. Cool. So we run git status porcelain from the repo root, so we get everything consistently. How the fuck does Gaff work? I just spent 5, the act of doing the dirty, that YouTube censors. Oh, hours deploying my Windows install. Why did you install Windows, bro? Why? There's no reason for you to be installing Windows. With all that Arch and Window Manager and so on and so forth things, why did you install it? Do all games not work on Linux or something? I mean, not like I know. I play like a single game sometimes. If you go to my Steam account, it's literally a single game. Enter the Gungeon. My window manager is Steam Limal. Okay, fair. Okay, fine then. My Linux install is in a laptop. I noticed that personally for me, the game that I play started running better on Linux than it was on Windows. And it supports a Windows mod for it, which I'm super surprised by. And not because it does natively. I just used Mono, this little thing, to run it, and it just worked. Linux is wild. I won't ever install Steam on Linux. Closest thing is buying a Steam Deck. Why? It works great. If you're here, because like here meaning Arch, and I think you are. Yeah, you just boom, you just install Steam, boom, you're done. No fucking snaps, no fucking flat packs and all that bullshit. Simple, just install, run, you're done. I'll need to buy some more games and play them at least sometimes. But I kind of can't be bothered. Maybe once I finish One Piece or something. Which sounds scary, like, goddamn, one day I'm not gonna have like a lot of episodes of One Piece to watch. What the fuck am I going to be watching? Okay, bloom. Fix get status not running from repo. Hold up. It doesn't need to. Right. Having a machine dedicated to it makes more sense. Oh, because Steam as hell is non-reproducible and messy. Really? Huh. Never had any issues with it. Right, the reason why I don't use this is because I don't need to. Porcelain does it from the repo root anyway, I would still need Windows for 4 or 5 games that I need absolutely no latency on, which Proton introduces. Huh. All you guys playing fucking games that require perfect resources and stuff, I still can't do it. One day I'm gonna buy an actually good PC, start playing some cool game that I wanted to play for a while, invest a whole ass month to it, and then never play it again. Right, so the reason why I'm not using the current directory in git status porcelain is because it gives the correct output anyway. We don't need it there. And that is also the case here. We can run git log one line from anywhere. Is there... No, I don't think we need to get the repo root, actually. Which I did not expect. So the reason why I needed this function called get repo root in Gaff is because to stage files, you do need to do that from the repo root to get the, to use the absolute paths. I think. I'm pretty sure you need that. I'd be surprised if not. So, remove get repo. Actually, just this. Remove get repo root. Gaff needs it for staging. Actually, this is more human. Gaff needs it for unstaging or just staging, but we aren't gonna be running commands that require to be ran from the repo's root. Boom. I don't often use descriptions in commits, I just noticed. Cool, okay, so we don't need that, and we don't need that for the remote. Well, I would be surprised. Yeah. So basically what we're fishing for with get remote is origin, and pretty much always is just origin, but if it's a fork, there's also upstream, and I don't remember if it's going to be the first one or the second one, but in my testing, the first one is the one that we want, basically. So we get remote, blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's go on to branch. Similar thing, so let's just yam and gr until the end. And fuck, no. Branch. Get branch. Org. Show one line, something like that. Show current. One line is for git log. So this. So we get the branch and run it. Git is not in your path. Technically, we could just throw. After we run git status and such, we could just throw in every other function because we already checked that git is in the path, but no reason to make the code worse if it's easier to make it better. Get branch std error should convert to a string. Now this is not remote but branch. Instead get remote branch. This is also branch. Okay, get branch failed to convert to a string. Trim end, but not end, but instead just trim. Same thing about remote. Cool. And we just literally get the branch. What happens? Let's go to testicles, go up. Actually, let's go back. So we run git branch show current. It says main. Naturally, let's remove for real everything, including .get. Run git branch show current and it should throw an error. That is exactly what it does. Let's get init. And it gives us main. Okay, so that's pretty much all that it can be. It cannot be empty. You either have a branch or it's on a Git directory, which is going to be caught previously. Unless you like have a detached head or something. But whatever. I guess we can still. This repository doesn't have a branch. What this implies, the user will have to figure out. Or rather, isn't on a branch. This repository isn't on a branch. Is that human? I think it is. We already trimmed everything, so all we got is just a string. So we else to du p. Nope. Boom. Instead of remote, it's branch. Cool. So if it's empty somehow, we just immediately report this repository isn't on a branch. Otherwise, we just give the branch as a string. Cool. Let's commit this. I love that once you switch tabs, it updates your shell prompt. So the staging that I did in VS Code is reflected here. It's super convenient. Okay. Implement pull git branch. And then if both of them are like correct and everything is fine with them, we do git log one line blah blah blah. Okay, I see. So let's actually go and look for pubs. We don't need to make branch pub and we don't need to make remote pub. Status we may need to. We'll see. Basically now this function, which is going to be public, get unpushed, which I don't remember. What is that? It's usize. Okay. Get unpushed result usize or a string. So get unpushed will get all of the previous functions, well, the two of them, and count how many commits you have unpushed. Okay, so first thing we do is get remote. Let remote is remote. It's that simple. Let branch is branch. It's also that simple. Actually, let's make another standalone function. In a similar way, we yam and we p, but this is not branch, this is log, which gives us the string of the get log. So get log one this one line then arg format remote branch to branch. To explain this a bit, get log starting from the remote branch to the local branch. That's what's happening here. So this will need to take remote as a string slice because we can, and might as well. Boom. So remote branch, we might as well number them then, because we're going to be using branch twice. And branch again, and that's it. So remote and branch. What? Am I thinking about this incorrectly? For this, we should actually do this and bacon and look at it like this, like what's the error? Invalid reference to positional argument 2. Oh, fuck. It starts with 0 because obviously we're programmers. We're supposed to be fucking inhuman. Like, this is just a bit silly. But it's fine. It's just that in programming, you keep starting with 0 or 1 depending on the fucking situation. And it's like... but it's okay. We get the output, get is not in your path, get a log should convert to a string, we trim it correctly, get log and this is just log, which is hilarious in my opinion. Not gonna explain it, it's too disgusting. Right, indeed. What does happen if no log? Basically, if nothing is pushed. That means that it's 0. That means that it's 0, so let's not make this whole thingy here. Instead, do it in get unpushed. I think it will make more sense there. Okay, so let log lamao is log. Hold up, it had this, but it needs a reference. So this and this and this. If it's an error. So here, even if it's empty, it will still be okay, which is exactly what we want. So it's a string. Now all we need to do is check out how many lines there are. And I'm pretty sure even if it's 0, it will just convert to 0. So okay. No, I think commits, but now we specified the type of usize is log lines count. Boom. And this is usize. Okay, commits. So if it's 0, it will just return 0, which is exactly the behavior that we want. And look at how simple this function is, thanks to all the same type of error that we return. I love that. Okay, so now I think we actually implemented everything. Yeah, pretty much. And we don't need to do the like word count line or echo 0 because it's just done in the logic in a more reasonable fashion. Oh, actually. Oh, I love this. The cool thing about get unpushed is that if there are no commits that you haven't pushed, it's not an error, it's not none, it's just 0, which is exactly what we want. We want 0 commits to just be 0 rather than some error that we may need to print. Here we only report actual errors, that something went wrong, which is pretty nice. So let's yank this and impl. Wait, no, not everything. Impl get unpushed. Okay. Compute should actually take these two parameters. Take these two parameters expecting that they are clean already. So in main, we do let get status is get status, no, or just I guess status. Get status But here we do match. And this is where args comes into the picture, because we need to add a certain thingy where arg short long is verbose boolean, and it's false by default. So if get status is okay, status is status. Pretty simple. If it's an error message, then if args verbose, only then do we print it, like print the error message. What? Oh, it's private. Okay, that's fair. Let's make it public. Boom. Only then do we actually print the error message, but we like return exit code failure regardless. So that's exit code. Boom. Now it's complaining because we don't return suckies. Now we return suckies. Cool. So by default, it will not print an error message because that would be incredibly annoying. But if you pass the verbose flag, it will. But if there are errors, it will silently exit by default. Then it's up to you, the user, to notice it and figure out why that is the case. Maybe like create an issue or notice that, oh, actually, this is not a Git repository, whatever. And we do the same thing for unpushed. However, maybe we don't get an error with get status, but do with unpushed. Wouldn't it be better? Okay, if we have an issue with get status, because if it's nothing, it should return if it returns us an empty string, it should just return an empty string and nothing else. What does it actually do? This should not actually happen. So we should only return errors if there are actual errors. Boom. So now, even if it's an empty string, that's fine, that's passable. Only if there are errors specifically will it break. And here I want it to break, to return. However, if there are errors in the unpushed section, I don't want it to return. Because maybe the person is having some errors, but still wants to see their Git status. And they should be able to. And it will still print the error message if so wanted. Okay, so let unpushed is match get unpushed, get unpushed. If okay, unpushed. But if error message, if args verbose, then we print, eprint the message and return 0. So unpushed is a usize. Yeah. And it's a usize regardless. If there is an error that happened in trying to figure out how many commits you haven't pushed, you can still print it and figure out what it is and why it's happening. But it will still allow you to display your git status. Because, well, it should, I think. Should I do a similar thing for git status, though? Maybe the commits difference is all fine. Yeah, I do think so. A string from this. Yeah. It shouldn't exit because the errors should be then recognized by stats compute. Yeah. Then we shouldn't return exit code. Like, no need. The reason why I don't want to return exit code in this program specifically is because what if the person also has some thingy that shows their like the previous command's exit code, and maybe I might be incorrect on that, I probably am, but maybe by the time their prompt like works again, they see the error message, or rather the exit status, not of the command they ran, but of my program. Wouldn't that be annoying? It would. So I want to avoid doing that. So git status, if something is wrong, it just says that, okay, it's nothing then. And we still have to have the match and so forth to print the actual message. Essentially, it will silently fail by default, but it won't scream that it failed. You have to notice it and figure out by using the -v flag. Okay, so to compute, we provide git status and unpushed. Let's go to compute, git status unpushed. Git status is a string, unpushed is a usize. Create new. Boom, so we get status. Now it's not some or none, is empty, an empty string, which is going to happen if it's either through an error or just there's nothing there. We parse status. By passing get status. We need to change args to a string, right? We just like keep passing it. Yeah, which is why I'm not using a string slice. Kinda unnecessary, I think. Oh, and no, not args, but get status. No needs to do as ref or any of that thing. Oi, dx, and here we go. Boom, 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 boom. And get status is just a string that we can easily parse and so on and so forth. If it's not empty. If it is not empty. Right. Let's go here and change to unpushed. Because parse status touches everything except obviously unpushed. If after all this, everything is still 0, return none, specifying that, okay, nothing really happened. And in terms of error handling, we already gave all the errors that can happen here, so it's fine. It's not like by returning none, we're just ignoring all the errors and failing completely silently. We already failed and told the user why we did. It's just that here we like make sure that we failed, basically. So if get status isn't empty, let's parse this status. Because if it's empty, we know that it's zeros everywhere. We don't need to parse. We set stats unpushed to unpushed because that's just precisely how it works. I guess what we could do is make the unpushed thing, like calculate it with code here. And that's almost reasonable. I see. What we could do, let's go here, is just return the log as a string, and then in the parser we make another function here that basically counts how many lines there are. But I do not see why it's necessary at all. It just sounds like a silly thing to do for no reason. Currently, sure, the fact that we need to parse get status, but not unpushed. It feels a bit weird, I agree. But I think that's just how it goes. I'm sure that there's a better way to architect this, though. It's just not coming to me. So I'm like open to ideas. So all this in terms of compute is completely correct. In terms of parse status, what do we have here? Yeah. Why do we return an option? Right, why do we? Oh, I see, because if there's nothing, then there's nothing. Yeah, if there's no first character, something went really wrong, so we just ignore it. Is this the approach they want to take? Yeah, because by all accounts, if get status is not empty, then it will have a first character and a second character. Yeah. So that's why we do. I didn't know that. Oh, because next returns an option rather than result. Interesting. And that's why we can use the question mark. Okay. So everything here is fine, RL 0. Yep, that's how it goes. And in main, we do compute. Since it's an option, there's nothing to report here. So only if everything is fine, even after all that, we get the elements and we print them all. Okay. What I'm thinking about is that, well, why can it return none? Let's be more specific. So parse status can return none. And if they're all 0, it's also none. If they're all 0, I agree, we should do nothing. Yeah, because obviously. So that's thought about, okay. Why can parse status, it can only return none in the pretty much impossible situation where it's not empty but doesn't have 2 characters. That's only, like, that's the only situation where that can happen. Okay, so we're not missing anything that should be considered an error or something of that nature. We reported all the errors that are helpful and basically ignored one ridiculous situation and another common situation where you get status and you just have nothing. In your get status, which is normal, we just print nothing. It's not an error, it's just the behavior of the program. It should not be reported as an error. Great. FC. Let's go to colorize. So we get stats, and we add everything as if positive. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, super fine. Let's check it out. Let's check out the program. Let's cargo run. Yeah, that's it. We just cargo run. Yeah, that's correct. Except we should not be printing a space. And somewhere along the lines we do. Trim. Not a thing, really? We print a space after, and that should probably be handled by the user. That would have to make the last thing not print a space, either introducing another parameter, which would be super annoying, or not using a function for the last time, which is also annoying. And since I want to implement user ordering, like way in the future, of elements, I don't think I want that. Okay. So it already works. Yeah, let me reiterate, it already works, which is crazy and amazing. So I can literally just do this, boom, compile for release for me to use. Wow, that's amazing actually, what the fuck? Oh, because I'm in fucking source. Let's cast again. And do this. Okay, let's go to binaries and couldn't copy because it didn't understand what I meant. Let's remove F to see get status, but not yet. Before we do that, if octussy exists, and that's it. If there's octussy, run it. That's literally it. That's the entirety of what you need to specify. And this whole thing is like, oh, hold up. Like, that's just extra safety. If you're somehow sure that you will always have octussy, even if you like decide to reinstall and then you haven't installed octussy yet, but it's in your prompt and so on and so forth. Just extra safety on the shell's part, but running octussy is just octussy. Right, and it doesn't run it because it realizes that it's not there. So the thing is, oh, interesting, because I didn't run the function prompt.fish. Let's do this. Here we go. Boom, works. Just straight up works. And now this may be faster, maybe not. Probably not to a considerable extent, but if you're in something like WSL, it is likely that you will notice a difference. What do we have here that I deleted? What's my glow? I renamed colors module a long time ago, forgot to stage the deletion. There's probably like rebase, whatever, too much effort to be worth it. Actually, let's gump put together program sure. We don't need this. There are other things that we don't need. This. And, why? Right, we don't need this either, because it's already returned. Okay, Let's go to the toml. And believe it or not, let's publish it, because this is already usable, like straight up. Already usable in the sense that, sure, you can't pick colors and you can't pick ordering, but if you want exactly what I have, well, here you go. You can just install it and use it as it is. So I think it's worthy of publishing already. So let's cargo release, that's my personal thing. So this, okay, we touch readme, Okay, yes, it's referring exactly to what you think it does. Let's write the README actually. Yeah, before we do this entire thing, let's write the README. Yes, it's referring exactly to what you think it does. This program is what I use to display get status in my shell prompt. Since this isn't finished, I feel compelled to not make a full README. Yeah, for now. Because basically, if you install this right now, it's because you've watched the stream or something of that nature. You're like, fuck yeah, I already know what this is. I want to use it. And then once I make the program better, I'll write a better README. Okay, let's do this. 0.2.0. We get the README touch release notes. Instead of touch release notes, okay, let's go to positional. I guess not positional. I keep forgetting how I call my own things. This. It will open the release notes to basically check if they're correct or change them interactively. But README, I will only be writing in VS Code, so yeah. Let's JF. How is it 6 again? Right, let's Gaff. That's a lot of changes. Why was it even 6 before? I guess formatting, literally. Yeah, okay. Care. Boom. Okay, so touch readme, UVM release notes, then commit that tagged version, push that commit, then git tag by using the release notes that I previously wrote. Push that tag, build for release, and then create that release on the GitHub page, publishing the release that I just built for, and publish. Yeah. So, initial working release. You can't pick colors or the ordering, but if you're fine with the defaults, you can already safely use the program. Is there anything else I should be mentioning here? I mean, yeah, I understand. I'm not specifying what the defaults are. Or what this even is, or how to use it. But once again, this is just like a working release for people that already know what this is. Maybe like I talk about it with my friend and I'm like, oh my god, fuck yeah, I use this, and they're like, what, really? I want to use it too. And they would know what they're installing, basically. It's not like the most professional release, but I don't think that's the necessity for it. I've been streaming for some time, and even though my window is opened, not a single like mosquito came in, so fuck yeah. Great, stream is healthy. How long have I been streaming for? Okay, yeah, I know this. Like, I still have some energy in me. So, what now? Colors, right? I want to figure out how you would even specify a color. So let's go to args. Pub color is color. What is this? Represents the color preferences for program output. I see. Well, can you fucking do it for me? ANSI term color. What? Use ANSI term color. This one. Let's look at the error. Method cannot be called on reference auto value parser color due to unsatisfied trait bounds. So in other terms, we can just plop in color and expect it to work. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT. Chat fixed. Nope, did not. Okay. As always, our usual, let's ask ChatGPT. Because the answer is probably already out there. I don't need to reinvent it, because this is exactly the type of thing that you'll be quick to reinvent. Well, you probably don't need to. I have a Rust program that needs to take in an argument that's a color. You can either provide it via a word and represents one of the 16 colors of your color scheme. And I think that's pretty important because some people like their shell prompt to look the same as their color scheme does in their terminal. I don't. So if you see the highlighting, the color highlighting of what I type in, it's different from this. If we like, first of all, let's go up and stage everything. You see that this screen and this screen are very different, and I actually don't want them to be the same. I want them to be separated clearly like this. But some people would want to use the green that's already in their color scheme. And I want to allow that to happen like easily without them needing to actually grab the hex color of their color scheme. And if they change it, they have to redo it again, and like that's pretty annoying. Even though I don't care, it's a very important feature. You can either provide it via a word that represents one of the 16 colors of your color scheme in the terminal, or you can provide the color as a hex code. I didn't actually ask a question here. What's an octussy? It's an octopus pussy. So the name of the project is a complete meme. Damn. Really? There's no like... I know, right? To accept a color argument in your Rust program, you should first define the argument. Well, that's not really. I mean... like, you know? Worse yet, let's go to colorizer, actually to colors. Let's try pop const like fucking red. Color is color. Can we like, sure, we can represent red here. Boom. Boom, right? But then if the user provides red, what the fuck do I do with that information, you know? How do I grab this variable depending on user input? I guess via a match statement? Yeah, I guess so. Fuck, it's just kind of super annoying to do. It's super mega annoying to do. But it's an important feature that I should have. Okay. It's so annoying. I don't fucking do it. And we'll have a huge fucking... I hate it. Okay. Alright. Fine. Oh my god, and the way I'm gonna do it is even worse for hex colors, because the idea is, oh, what am I even doing? I can fucking draw. The idea is, say, actually, what is this one? Okay. Let's copy it, put it here, make it super huge. So let's draw. Basically, the user will provide everything except this thing. So it's just a string of 6 characters, which is a hex number. Then what I'll have to do is separate it by 2. We now have 3 string slices, and we convert each one of them into a separate like integer, where it's basically 8a, 5c, and well, you get the picture. Then we provide them separately to color, RGB, and so on and so forth. Like this. And we'll need to somehow make sure that we provide a hex color. More importantly, what does it expect? A U8. Okay, so we can just parse it to a U8. Yeah. Okay. So that way of doing it is pretty annoying and kind of stupid. But that's the first way I can think of making it. And there's a possibility that it's the way to do it. I just don't like it. There are 16 of them, so let's fucking go. That is supposedly all of them. And I'm not gonna sit here and decide for the user what should be possible and what shouldn't be. Everything should be possible. It's for them to decide, even if they decided like to make it gray or bright fucking white. Why they would ever do that, no clue, but I should give them an ability to do so. It's just good practice. So, black is, and we basically do this fucking bullshit. We provide constants for all of them. Do we need to? We don't actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, we super don't. How are you? Which is programming language? There's Flutter Dev. I use Rust for the most part, and some other programming languages as well here and there, but currently I'm doing stuff in Rust. So I'm recognizing that no, I don't need to make constants because it's just a word to the same exact thing. Nothing changes. It's straightforward. I can just use the color black, for example, straight up in the logic that will take the color. We do not need default colors anymore. So we just delete it. We don't need it. Straight up just don't need it. And then also glyphs. But that's for later. Being able to choose the glyphs that show up. When I'm playing type testing code with Python, good luck for you. Thank you. I wish you good luck as well. So in colorize, if I provide, so let's say the user can, and let's open not args, but instead stat, no, that's not a thing, parser, right, so we can look at stats. So we have 8 colors that the user should, by all accounts, be able to choose, right? My initial reaction is to allow selecting only 3 colors. Because 8 huge match statements of this basically sounds super annoying. But I'm probably incorrect in thinking that I need that. Yes, I don't, because I can just make a function that takes in a word, like a literal string, and yeah. Okay. Let's go back here and actually bring back default colors, because we're gonna need them for if the user specified a wrong word, an incorrect hex, whatever else. And then so they provide a string regardless. If it matches to one of the word colors, we get it and we return that color. If they provide not a word but instead a hex color, we try to parse it into 3 U8s to convert that into a color. If that also doesn't work, we just set the default color, and that's why we need the default color. Okay, this is going somewhere. So public constant unpushed is color. Oh, what's that? It's use unc term. Color is color, and unpushed by default will be yellow because that's what I like. It's still not going to be the color that I actually use, but setting a default color that's outside of the 16 spectrum is stupid for a project, as I've already explained. Mod is alternative var. For example, in other languages, I think they are your property. No, mod is for creating modules. So modules are pretty much just files that contain code. And to refer to the code in default colors, for example, you first have to access the default colors module. And that way in Rust, you build a file tree, which is also a function tree, a struct tree, and so on and so forth. Every single symbol that you make, you can access by providing a path to it. And by modules, you can make those paths and decide what and where, like what and where is private or public. To make variables in Rust, you just use the let keyword, as you can see on 4 lines down. Public constant unpushed. Huh. If I define 3, understand context, thank you. If I define 3 default colors, 1 for each section basically, what that means is that in my function that basically takes in a string and decides what color it is, which will also return the default color. Okay, I was thinking that I would have to make another match and provide which type of color is currently being presented, and complicate the function in that sense. But I actually don't need to. I can just make the function return none if it either doesn't catch one of these words and cannot parse the hex correctly. It should just return, well, actually an error. It should return an error that then gets used. Gets printed. But we won't be able to return it. But I'm thinking way too far into the future. But basically, what I can do is if like none or whatever, or if error, then just use the default color for this specific thing. That's basically my idea. Okay, so unpushed, staged. I'm gonna be able to show that off in code once we get to it. You're the second person who asked about it. Octussy is octopus pussy. A very uncouth name of a project. But it's basically git status for your shell prompt as a single program that you can just run. It means exactly what you think it means, which is literally in the readme lamao. The reason why it's called that is because fish, the fish shell, has the theme of like the sea and ocean. And initially octussy was supposed to be a project that just recreates my entire shell prompt for fish. But now this project is not fish specific. You'll be able to use it anywhere. But the name sticked, just like octopuses do. Okay, so staged and unstaged. Color is color cyan. And of course, in this program, I can restrict the user to only provide 3 colors. Do you have an example? Yeah, I do. Here it is. So this means that there is one modified file, still one modified file, one staged file, and the program does it by taking git status -- porcelain and parsing this. So if we have deletions, they would also show up differently. If we have staged deletions, they also show up, and yeah, stuff like that. I've been using it for a while. Let me go here and GSA. Hold up. Where do I have GSA in Gitty, I think? I don't need to make it that difficult anymore. It's just octussy git status, and that's it. Let's Gitty, boom, GSA. I very much do. Oh! And it also should exit, not exit, but return 1. Let's rerun. So yeah, basically you can see already that This is how they look. There's basically 12 unstaged deletions, 3 new files, 2 unpushed commits. Yeah. I had it working for a while now, but the way you make it work is just kind of annoying for the user. So currently what I'm doing is making it more approachable to people other than me. It already works. You can install it with cargo install octussy, and then you just put it in your shell prompt. Basically, you run the program, and you'll get exactly what I have. But what I'm working on currently is making it so it's not exactly what I have, but you get to decide what is what. I'm currently on the fence. Should I be just letting the user pick a single color? I read an article about Rust and I understand that you can use Rust for memory management, yep, or different. I also read that you can use Rust for gaming. Yeah, I heard that there's a game, an open source game that's been made in Rust, and it's like great. I would love to live in a world where we make games by using Rust. I feel like no, like, quote-unquote real games are being made in C. C++ and C# most of the time. And both languages are, like, not ideal, let's say that. So if games started to be made in Rust, that would be incredible. But if that ever happens, it's still going to take a long time to reach that point, which I do understand. So I think I can combine both solutions. So you can let the user decide a color for a category, and then they can decide to override some of them. Let me explain what I mean. So currently I have my special cyan color for all these, right? So basically how it would work in my program is that you specify a color for all unstaged, and that's the literal name of the flag, and it's cyan. And if you don't want to make any specific ones different colors, that's it. But maybe you want to have all unstaged be in the cyan color, except maybe deletions, you want to have them in red. You can still specify all unstaged to be cyan, but if you specify that unstaged deleted are red, for example, they will be red, while everything else that's unstaged is going to be cyan. So basically you get to have the approach of simple one color for everything, and you get the ability to change specific colors if you want to. That's like literally the best way to do it, I think. And there's also a default color if you maybe don't specify colors whatsoever to fall back on. Fuck. That's... all of these are better ideas than I usually have. So we get the stats, and now we need to colorize them. First thing we should do is make the thing for everything. Let's go to color, no, not colorizer, to parser, move it, no. Move it here and put it here. Boom, Boom. Boom. Okay. So let's make a parameter that you can specify if you want. For every color that you can set. Okay, so, but these will not have short options because they're not supposed to be ran interactively. It's going to be in your script, and trying to come up with short options is just, it's worse, not better. So unpushed is a option of string. The reason for option is that you don't have to specify it if you don't want to. Okay, boom. Let's like put a bunch of them immediately. Yank till this. Let's put it here. Okay, so public all staged. Yeah, all staged is this. Public all unstaged is also this. And now we start doing things one thing per thing. And the reason we don't have all unpushed is because it's a single element. So you just set it. Okay, so unstaged, added, staged, modified, renamed, deleted, and staged deleted. The fact that the names for them are so long, sure, may be unfortunate, but since once again you're going to be using these flags in your script, it's super fine to be that way. Okay, so blum blum blum, then unstaged, modified, deleted, we have unstaged, deleted, and added. Where's new? Oh, that's called staged. No. Oh. Oh, unstaged. Right, of course. So unstaged is new, deleted, and that's the only... Yes, we also have modified. Where the fuck did I put modified? Oh. I didn't put it yet. Here we go. Boom. So we have unstaged, so basically new files, deleted, unstaged deletions, and unstaged modifications. Then we have added, so staged new files. Staged is staged modifications, renamed are renames, and staged deleted. Boom. 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 These are all the options that we need. Cool. So what do we need to do in colorize? We need to basically provide args. Sure, like we don't need verbose in the color in the function colorize, but it's much worse to have to specify all these. Sure, we could make a sub command, which is like color and blah blah blah, but super unnecessary. So I'll do it the stupid way and just args, and it's like what? These ones, boom, and we got args. We get elements, then add if positive. So we just provide and also we cannot use a subcommand because we specifically need to be able to do everything in a single command rather than multiple. It should also let you specify the glyphs for every single thing, which is scary. We'll get to it. It's going to be a disaster, but oh well. Okay. So here, let's look at add if positive itself. We get the, or rather, we give the elements to actually change the array that puts all of these things together. Then the color, let's change color to should it be default color? So add if positive, yeah, add if positive, we just provide the specific argument to it. Oh, I see. So it's color anyway. Okay, let me explain my thought process. We'll provide a color, and the way we do that, well, let's go here for example, is that we do args, and then yeah, staged, unwrap or default, or rather unwrap or not quite that actually. We do ys boom boom boom, and here is going to be the function that parses the string into a color, basically get color or whatever, get color, which can return none or an error message. But then it actually should return an error if there is one. How would we go about it? By doing get color here. So let's staged, for example, is get color args staged, right? And if something wrong is there, we return that as an error, basically taking the color well, hold up. The issue is that we're trying to do both actions at the same time. If there's an error, print it, or well, no, or return it. But also if there's an error, just use a default color. Okay, well, in my experience with using different terminal applications, if I set a certain color and it doesn't reflect, my immediate thought, oh, the color is wrong. Let me fix that. So it looks like it would be very bothersome to try to print that as an error, where instead just doing get color, unwrap, like unwrap, or, and then we specify the default color. It's just immensely easier. If something doesn't work, I'm not even going to complain, type of thing. Let's go to main. Or an even better idea is to parse args into a different struct, which is already colors that can be easily used, and then just like let colors is like I don't know, user colors, whatever, user colors parse, or rather from, and you provide args, boom, and then if there's an error, it is reflected and still uses the default colors, continuing the program, even though it broke. And then you specify the colors here, and in here we end up using the colors that were already passed to us. So we don't need to figure out the colors. That has been done already for us. We just need to collect them, basically collect all the elements, already knowing the colors, and eventually already knowing the glyphs as well. Okay, good thought, good thought. Let's write this out. So and we can make it explicit what goes where by providing only the color arguments from args to the parser. That way it's like more clear, although sure, more annoying, but more clear. And the same thing for glyphs. Okay, there's a struct for glyphs that takes in specifically the, and glyphs already have defaults, and specifying a single glyph for all types of changes is ridiculous because they will not be combined together, so it's just silly. So you'll just use the default ones, right? There's a struct for glyphs that takes in specifically the glyph flags And a struct for colors that takes in specifically provided colors by the user. Everything gets understood from the user's input, and the errors do get reported. Oh, and I see how we can do that. We can just collect the errors as they happen into a vector, then join it into a single string by new lines. Boom. Very simple programming. Everything that gets understood from the user's input and the errors do get reported via collecting them as string slices into a vec that gets joined with new lines and returned as an error. Also, if there is an error, uses default colors, then colorizer takes both structs into construct everything using information it was already given, and that information is pure, it's clean, it needs a color, it has that color. It literally just has that color and can easily use it. And the same thing about glyphs. It's provided a literal glyph rather than like being provided maybe a glyph and then it needs to decide whether to use the default one or not, and so on and so forth. No, it's just given a glyph, it can easily use it, boom, done. Okay, yeah. Let's also write out all the colors. Black, red, green, yellow, blue, magenta, cyan, white, bright. Fuck, what a project. It's bigger than I thought. Bright red, bright green, bright yellow, blue, magenta, cyan, white. How they're going to be called specifically and the legitimacies of them, we're going to figure out after, but yeah, I just want to collect all the 16 colors. There are 16 of them, right? Yeah. Okay, but for now, I'm going to be ending the stream. What? Why can I not find the OBS window? What? It got fucking minimized, I guess. Interesting. Yeah, but thanks everyone for watching. I may or may not stream the continuation of making this program. Probably yes. It's hard to program without streaming. Kind of boring that way. So goodbye. Follow my Mastodon if you want to.